So I don't know if any of you have seen this, but there was an ITV exchange between a couple of royal reporters, royal experts, and a presenter called Charlene White. And they were discussing how the Sussexes managed to evade paparazzi and press in the UK. And for me, what I took from the conversation was the extent to which these people would go to get a glimpse of Harry, Meghan, and the children. And Chris Shipp's own words is also worth, for me, isolating from that conversation, because he said it's not necessarily TV cameras that catch them. It's the newspapers who probably paid for hundreds of cameras plus members of the public constantly on alert. Is that them? You know, he was saying, oh my God, they'll be saying, is that them? So there are people who are paid to literally stalk them. And people also know, as in members of the public or in the UK know, that even a sighting of Harry and Meghan and capturing a photo of them and their children, that could literally change a person's life. It could literally, you could get paid enough money for it to change your life. Because it reminds me of a woman who managed to capture a photograph of the so-called Fab Four, which was the other girl, other brother, Harry and Meghan, walking in a line side by side on their way to church, I believe in Sandringham or Balmoral or something. Anyway, don't care. This was ages ago. This was probably 2018 or thereabouts. But anyway, somebody managed to capture that photo, and she said it was life-changing money. So people are out there literally stalking the Sussexes, and by sheer stealth mode, they managed to evade being captured, both literally and metaphorically. So for me, you have a professional royal correspondent describing in his own account an organized, resourced surveillance operation that newspapers actively pay for large numbers of cameras specifically positioned to catch a single family. And it wasn't sustained just for one afternoon. It was throughout up till last week, Tuesday, right? Because we know they saw the royal family, like, you know, last Friday. So they were in the country till Tuesday and nobody managed to get a glimpse of them. So I think that surveillance was actually far longer than just the Friday surveillance. It was throughout the week and it continued till the following week. And also, I think at the end of the day, when you have a resourced effort to photograph specific people, right, described very matter-of-factly, like it was normal in an industry, and this is being described by people on the other side. It's not being described by people on Harry's team. And yet there are people that would have us know that, oh, the report that Harry submitted, how do we know it's true? And I remember somebody random even saying in my comments before I blocked the person, they said, well, if it was true that the FBI submitted a report, then the FBI would be looking after Harry. And I said, duh, how do you know the FBI is not keeping Harry and his family safe in America? How do you know? Because surely, if they know they've received such a report, there would be a concerted effort to at least make sure nothing happens to Harry and his family under their watch. Number one. And number two, why would Harry's team make up a lie about the existence of an FBI report? And I bet you I can't prove it, but I just know that I'm willing to bet my next mortgage that I bet you the same FBI would have submitted the report to other security services in the UK, because they have to stay informed. Because remember, there is an agreement between them of such things. So if there's anything national security or whatever against a high profile person between both countries, there is something. And therefore, remember, I did a video that when I believe the Attorney General of the United States or the FBI wanted to have a conversation with Andrew, the Home Secretary at the time, Priti Patel, she blatantly said no. She said, no, you cannot question Andrew, despite the existence of some sort of agreement between both countries. So you cannot tell me that somebody of Harry's status, if there's something being plotted against him, and the FBI are aware of one such thing in the US, you cannot tell me that they will not get involved. So I think at the end of the day, the conclusion that I can draw from this particular segment is that admission, is the fact that rather than treating hundreds of paid cameras failing to capture 2 adults and 2 children over days, right, as evidence of how intense and well-funded the effort to photograph the family actually is, instead of saying, oh my God, this is a horrible thing, they are now framing it into a puzzle, into a, yeah, but how did Harry get away with it? How did Harry and Meghan avoid being detected? How did they do it? And they are going to keep digging until somebody leaks and says, well, this is what they did or whatever. And I hope to God somebody keeps their mouth shut. And this is why Harry said when he knew he wasn't getting Radek approved security, he had to make alternative security arrangements, and they seem to have paid off. But we do not know what the alternative extra arrangements were. And I think that's the thing we need to bear in mind. That would have been extra cost, extra time, extra resources deployed in order to avoid detection, because Harry and Meghan are absolutely serious about their children not being papped. In America, there are laws. In California in particular, there are laws, and you can sue somebody's ass. So no paper will dare to risk exposing the faces of the children. But in the UK, they don't give a toss. They even, in fact, will want to do that so they can be sued. They would be looking to provoke a lawsuit because, after all, hey, the Daily Mail won against Harry and Meghan, and, it would be another opportunity to have another pop at them in a court of law. And, they will hopefully have a judge who will once again ignore all 97 examples from 7 claimants and claim, well, you didn't prove your case enough. Again, I'm not a judge, I'm not an expert, so he knows what he saw. So the UK press are blatant, and they are out of control in what they are prepared to do to Harry and Meghan, and they believe they are doing it out of, support for the family, and the family hasn't indicated that they shouldn't. In fact, the family, in my opinion, seems to encourage the press by their silence or by their briefings or by participating in the smears themselves. So again, I think if papers are genuinely committing hundreds of paid cameras to track one family's movements, succeeding in evading for days, right, isn't an evasion of ordinary risk. It's evasion of a documented, functioning commercial surveillance, right, specifically built around them. And again, this is something, if I were Harry and Meghan, I could take this video and submit it to Radek as evidence that, by the way, you guys said there was no basis to do a risk assessment. There was no basis to do what, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? The last time we were in this country, this is what your press did. This is what they unleashed on us. So to me, this would be something else I can put forward to Radek if I were Harry. Not that Radek would give a toss, but at least it would be on record. And then again, they said something about, oh, Camilla was in the room despite everything Harry said about her. What about despite everything she did to her mama? I mean, she did to his mama. What about everything she did? What about everything she did? How come nobody is holding that woman to account? Nobody. It's conveniently forgotten. Well, oh my God, she was the king's true love. They're in love and she's his wife now. She's been his wife for 20 something years and we need to let it go. After all, Diana wasn't a saint herself. That's the thing. Nobody is saying that Diana was a saint. And look at it this way. The way the trolls and derangers are adamant that Harry and Meghan should be punished is the same way that supporters of Diana could be thinking, you know what, she got away with everything. She took over Diana's husband, Diana's position, Diana's crown. So why shouldn't she be punished? And it was okay for the king to support her wholeheartedly and protect her. It was okay for the other brother to also protect his wife, but it's not okay for Harry to protect his. And in protecting his, he wrote a story about his life. And he said, I love her. This is the woman I want to be with for the rest of my life. Same than the king. He did that for his wife as well. He said, well, this is the woman I love. I want her by my side. And lo and behold. So it's okay to accept the king's protection and the other brother's protection of their wives, but it's not okay to accept Harry's. Oh, she was in the room despite everything Harry said about her. Harry only said. Harry didn't exactly do. She said and she did. People would say she won and good for her. But I do know that, well, you know, there is something called karma for everybody. And we will all reap what we sow. But anyway, I think at the end of the day, you know, at least they said at the end of the day, she decided to go and that's on her. You know, and I'm glad Harry was in the room. Harry doesn't fear anybody and he faced her. Because they truly know, you know, those boys, they know what they went through at her hands. I mean, if the example of turning Harry's room into a walk-in closet is anything to go by, well, what can I say? But anyway, I think at the end of the day, for me, it draws a parallel with Richard Kay's article when he said, well, them being able to evade detection means they don't need security. Actually, I will argue that their security risk is actually increased because now there is money on the table and people are highly motivated to chase the Sussexes and pat them for money. So again, that is an increased risk in my book. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, please. My name's Elizabeth. I'm the author of The Luxpreneur. And for more insights like these, please like, share, comment, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And to support my work in holding truth to power, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Elizabeth Slaru, or you can get a copy of my book, The Luxpreneur, from Amazon, Waterstones, or Barnes & Noble.